Trainer, Coach of the Year.
And when we talk about trainer and coach of the year, and this is where it really gets a little sketchy. I mean, are we talking Factory X? Are we talking Evolution? Are we talking about some of the gyms that we did mention before? Maybe Frost Hobby, maybe John Kavanagh. No, the five that we have up in front of us, well, I guess with Elevation, you have Trevor Whitman, Travis Luter, the Hickman brothers with Tiger Muay Thai. You got to consider George and Frank as a package deal with wrestling and MMA. Jason Perillo from Ruka Sport and Eric Albarracin. And that's where it gets a little weird because in the graphic that I put up, Eric Albarracin, great coach. The picture that I put up was from late last year. His champions, Henry Cejudo, retired. You had Patricio Pitbull only fighting once. Patricky, what's going on? Paulo Costa didn't really win his title fight. But Travis Luter, I mean, Kevin Holland, dare I say more? Trevor Whitman continues to do the damn thing. The Hickman brothers really making strides. Jason Perillo doing a lot of great things. John Franklin, tell me about this category from 2020.
This gets really interesting for me because, again, some of these guys, I don't want to call them specialists. First, let me talk about the Hickman brothers. I'm very interested, intrigued, impressed, any other I words you can think of, with what they did with City Kickboxing and establishing a relationship. If you want to know more about that relationship, check out the Body Lock. They wrote a great story on it. But, how they kind of worked with some fighters and what they've done coming out of nowhere, really, and establishing themselves is amazing. Perillo, we got some of the work he's doing with Mackenzie Dern. Obviously, we named Chris Cyborg our female champion of the year. She trains with Jason Perillo. So Perillo, he's been around for a while. Michael Bisping, Tito Ortiz, BJ Penn. The list goes on for him. Luter with Holland, Whitman with Gaethje, getting Gaethje all the way to a title shot this year. Rose Namajunas has had title shots. So I think that Whitman gets a little bit propped up because of the UFC gig. But like you said, Albarracin, obviously, Cejudo retired, but he retired on top. So it's a choice to walk away. He was still being coached very effectively. The Pitbull brothers, Costa, I would say that if you started counting who has the most people near championship level, Albarracin might be your guy. But if we talk about depth, it might be a different story.
Matt, are you going to make an argument for any one of these in this top five that might not be an overly popular pick?
I really do think Jason Perillo deserves a lot of credit for the advancements in the striking of Mackenzie Dern. And I think it comes down to the fact that Mackenzie Dern, it's not that she was just unpolished in her striking. Her striking was downright bad when she entered the UFC. And you just look at the improvements that she has been able to make. Like, Ben Simmons is an all-star level NBA player who has yet to develop a jump shot, and he's had 4 years to do that. Mackenzie Dern went from not knowing how to even lay a ball in to now being like a decent three-point shooter. That's the type of improvement that she has been able to make. And she's a lot better defensively. She's a lot better with her own offense. I think he's been able to take a lot of fighters who are sort of in the more developmental parts of their career and really being able to build a lot upon it. But I do think when you talk about the trainer and or coach of the year, you do have to get it to Eric Albarracin, just what he's been able to do. And when you look at the roster of fighters that he has, like we said, Cejudo retired on top. That was his choice to do that. And Albarracin was a huge reason as to why Cejudo got to that point in the first place. And also, he actually promotes his fighters. He does something outside of just training his fighters. He's a guy who will go on Ariel Helwani and pump up Paulo Costa's tires or Henry Cejudo's tires. Like, he will do more than he has to with just the X's and O's of the game. He'll go out of his way to promote his fighters, and I think that has to be taken into consideration as well.
People love my weird basketball references. I talked about Channing Frye on some of these shows before. Who saw that one coming? But Matt, you're right. With Jason Perillo, you look at some of the advancements you've seen in Mackenzie Dern's game. She turned from Jose Calderon into like Spud Webb, just dunking over everybody. So great work for Jason Perillo. But again, for me, I'm in agreement here. Eric Albarracin, what gym is he really affiliated with? Is it Pitbull Brothers? Is it one of the gyms that John, you know so well over in Phoenix? It's really tough to try and pin him down, but the proof's in the pudding. Look at Alara Joani to kind of further Matt's point. Who knew Alara Joani coming into Bellator? Nobody. And this is a guy that decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go out to the gift shop. We're going to get some old-timey looking, paper. We're going to write down an Arya Star kill list. I'm going to give my fighter a nickname. And then if she wins, she's going to have a kill list to pump her own tires. These are some of the things that this guy does that are kind of outside of the realm of trainer or coach. But then when you look at the advancements that his fighters have been able to make, is he a great wrestling coach? 100%. But there's just little intangibles there that Eric Albertson brings into this game. And maybe 2019 was more his year, but 2020, there was definitely a carryover effect. I definitely consider him the coach/trainer of the year. Let's give this award to Eric Albertson. John Franklin, let's hear from you here.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about Albertson. I think one of the things is the fact that you think, or that you stated that you can't pin him down, I think says a lot more about the guy. He goes where his fighters want him to go. And here's the news. It's not like Fight Ready has nothing going on. Santino DeFranco's the coach there. Tracy Cortez is out of there. The Zombie Fight's out of there. So, I mean, like, there are things happening to Fight Ready. He could just stick around Fight Ready and start attaching himself to prospects looking for the next one. But he's like, you know, I'm going to go to Brazil and train with the Pitbull brothers. I'm going to go where Costa is. Maybe he'll come to me. I think that says a lot about who he is as a coach and dedication he gives to his top level fighters. It doesn't mean that he doesn't try and pretend like he's going to be around Fight Ready holding pads for someone who's 4-0 in the regionals. He's like, listen, I built this thing with Cejudo. I have relationships with these guys, and this is where we're going. And I appreciate that about him.
Eric Albertson, let's see what he's got coming up in 2021, but he is our 2020 coach/trainer, trainer/coach of the year. Let's move into some of the big hitters, some of the big categories. Next up, we're looking at performance of the year.